You have a plan. The plan is to work the trade until you hit 25 years in, complete one more major operational portfolio, then submit the exit. Then enjoy what comes after. You made this plan in 2019. You still have this plan. Your nervous system did not agree to this plan. Your service did not agree to this plan. And according to several studies you are about to walk through, your own operational career did not agree to this plan either. You are 54. You are tired. Your sleep quality has been narrating opinions about your decision-making for the last 3 years. You call it the click. The click started after your last extended deployment. The click has opinions about long target country runs. You want to keep working, but you keep hearing a phrase. The phrase is, "one more good case." You have been telling yourself this for 6 years. You are not on your 11th, one more good case. So you keep working. And that is the operational miscalculation you are going to walk through today. 5 reasons operatives should walk away before the mission tells them to. Reason 1. You will probably be pushed out before you are ready. You have a plan to work the trade until your full pension eligibility hits. The data has a different plan. According to the Office of Personnel Management's published statistics on intelligence community retirement patterns and corroborated by independent analyses through the Center for the Study of Intelligence, most career officers state during exit interviews that they intended to serve another 3 to 5 years beyond the year they actually departed. The actual median career length is shorter than the intended one. The plan and the outcome are several years apart. That is not a rounding error. That is a different career entirely. Okay, but that is just an average. You are going to be different. You understand. Several thousand officers also thought they were going to be different. The published exit interview data has not met many of them in their planned-for senior year. Of all the officers who exited earlier than they planned to, roughly a third departed for medical evaluation reasons, not scheduled health events. Not, "I planned to develop a chronic condition at 59, unscheduled ones, a diagnosis, a surgery, a body that simply stopped cooperating with the operational tempo. Another large share departed because of an institutional restructuring, a portfolio reorganization, a meeting in which somebody used the phrase skills mismatch, and your file was subtly attached to it. The service decided your 30 years of accumulated tradecraft knowledge was less institutionally portable than a younger officer's familiarity with a technical collection platform you had never operated. They would not do that to me. I have institutional standing. You're not going to argue the point. You are just going to look at the documented exit data and notice that institutional standing is one of the most common categories of post-exit surprise. So here is the math. You want to work the trade until you hit your planned terminal year. The data says you will probably stop several years earlier. You do not get to choose which category you land in. You cannot schedule your medical evaluations. You cannot guarantee the service keeps your portfolio intact. What you can do is decide to step out of the main caseload at your own choosing with an exit plan you wrote yourself, instead of being walked out with 2 weeks of administrative transition and a service certificate that does not mention what you actually built. Walking away on your own terms and being walked away from are very different operational experiences. One you control. You should probably control the one you can. Reason 2. The intelligence cohort is aging faster than the previous one did. Your station chief retired at 65. Then your station chief played golf for 15 years. Your station chief is fine. You assumed you would also be fine. In early 2026, the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences published a study on mortality and morbidity patterns in Americans born after 1970. The findings were not cheerful. The cohort that includes the bulk of currently mid-career intelligence officers is experiencing measurably worse health outcomes than the equivalent cohort that preceded it. Not slightly worse, measurably worse across multiple categories: cardiovascular pathology, sustained stress-related illness. The clinical category researchers are now calling operationally accelerated cognitive decline, a pattern documented in unclassified Department of Defense workforce health research showing that prolonged high-tempo intelligence and special operations careers correlate with the kind of physiological wear typically associated with significantly older age cohorts. Deaths of overwork. What does that mean? Imagine your nervous system is a long-term operational platform. The pre-Cold War end platform ran for 40 years, reliable, same model, maintained, made the morning indicators, retired quietly at 72, went to a quiet town, did not look at the news. The post-2001 platform has been running on a sustained mission tempo voltage that was not the design specification. The chassis has a small crack. The cooling system is overworked. The platform still produces operational output, but it is making a sound now. You call it the click. Your senior mentors could afford to work until 65 and still have a decade of healthy post-service years ahead of them. The data says your window is narrower. The gap between your planned exit and the moment your physiology starts making decisions for you is compressing for your cohort specifically. I eat well. I exercise. I am fine. You are glad. You also know that the documented cardiovascular and sustained stress profiles in this research do not require your permission. The point is simple. Your senior mentors could afford to wait because they had operational years after the wait. You may not have the same runway.
Waiting for the perfect institutional moment to walk away is a reasonable strategy right up until it isn't. You would like to be physically present for the parts of your life that the operational tempo has been postponing for the last 20 years. You are bringing this up now. Reason 3. You are already running 3 operations simultaneously. You have a senior mentor. Your senior mentor is 79, retired, and needs things. You also have a junior officer cohort. Your junior officers also need things, different things, equally costly and operational attention. You are in the middle. You are always in the middle. According to the Rand Corporation's 2024 study on intelligence community succession dynamics, a significant majority of mid-career officers in their late 40s and 50s have a living former mentor still requesting operational consultation, while simultaneously carrying training responsibilities for 2 to 5 junior officers, while simultaneously running their own primary caseload. Your cohort has the highest concentration of what the workforce literature is now calling triple-tasked officers of any cohort in modern intelligence history. Okay, caring for the mentor cohort is just part of the trade. You are not arguing the value of the work. You are doing the math. Triple-tasked officers spend an estimated additional 1,500 to 2,000 hours per year on mentor and trainee load, on top of their primary caseload. A 2024 ODNI study found that officers carrying both upward and downward institutional load are nearly twice as likely to report significant operational fatigue compared to officers carrying only one direction. They are also significantly more likely to report what the study called strategic decision drift, the gradual displacement of careful operational decision-making by faster, less calibrated reflexes. You are not a statistic. You recognize yourself in these numbers. So what is the solution? Stop mentoring? No, you are not suggesting that. You are suggesting something more specific. Right now, you are running mentor consultation for your seniors, training and supervision for your juniors, and a full primary caseload. You are doing 3 things at maximum operational effort.
You are doing this indefinitely. At some point, the math shifts. The senior cohort transitions to formal retirement. The junior cohort matures past the point where they require active intervention. The middle pressure eases slightly. And in that window, you are still working the same punishing primary caseload you have always worked, burning the same operational fuel for diminishing institutional returns. Stepping back from the main portfolio, not stopping entirely, stepping back, often costs less than it appears,
because the cumulative cognitive cost of carrying triple-loaded operations starts to exceed the strategic value you produce in any single direction. I cannot just walk away because I am tired. Nobody is suggesting walk away. They are suggesting plan. The one more good case strategy is not accounting for the fact that you are already running 3 jobs, and only one of them shows up on your service evaluation. Reason 4. You probably need less operational protection than you think. You have a number in your head. The number is the projected agency support package, the post-service legal coverage, the institutional protection you assume you will need if your past operational work surfaces in any unfortunate way. The number feels large. The number came from a worst-case briefing you read in 2018. Here is an update you may find useful. The internal agency reviews of post-service legal and protective support conducted across multiple Western services and partially summarized in unclassified workforce briefings throughout 2024 and 2025 found that the vast majority of departed officers required substantially less institutional protection than their pre-exit estimates assumed. The number that has been making you anxious is built around a peak exposure projection. It assumes the operational footprint you currently carry will continue at full size forever. You right now are 54. You have an active caseload. You have current source relationships. You have all the operational liability that comes with being a fully engaged officer in the peak years of the trade.
At 60, many of those exposures begin to retire alongside you. The active sources transition. The caseload is handed off. The current operational targeting fades. The footprint naturally gets smaller without you doing anything dramatic. The exposure number people use as the institutional target was built for the version of you that no longer exists after 60. You have been measuring your protective requirements against the wrong ruler. But what if my historical casework resurfaces and I need active legal coverage? You respect the concern. The published service guidance, referenced in the ODNI's annual report on retiree institutional support, addresses this directly. The protective infrastructure is more robust than the pre-exit anxiety assumes. You will address this concern in Reason 5. Reason 5. Walking away from the main mission does not mean leaving the trade entirely. You want to be very precise about something. When the recommendation is walk away, that does not mean go sit quietly and wait. You are 54. You do not own a rocking chair. You find rocking chairs operationally suspect. Walking away for your cohort does not look like the way walking away looked for the previous one. The previous cohort closed the door and that was the end of the trade for them, full stop. The current cohort's exit is different. The data shows it is already different. According to ODNI workforce reports and external surveys of former intelligence community officers conducted between 2022 and 2025, a substantial share of post-service officers maintain active professional engagement after their formal departure. Private sector consulting roles, advisory positions at think tanks, teaching at intelligence community training centers, contracted advisory work. The published median for post-service contracted income is not enormous, but it is not nothing. It is the part of the personal budget that makes earlier walkaway survivable, while the formal pension architecture is left to grow. I do not want to work in retirement. That is the point.
You understand the feeling. The framing is slightly off. The post-service consultation work is not grinding through a job you do not want. It is doing the specific thing you spent 30 years getting unusually good at, on your schedule, for the kind of institution that needs your knowledge but cannot replicate the experience in a younger officer. Researchers call this the experience bridge economy. The intelligence community is the primary participant in it because it has the highest concentration of irreplaceable institutional knowledge of any working profession. You have seen things, you have closed things, you have prevented things. That knowledge has structural value. It has flexible part-time advisory value. There is also a hard counterexample worth holding. Operatives who stayed in the active caseload long past the point where their senior cohort had walked away tend, in the historical record, to be the ones whose names became the cautionary case files. Aldrich Ames stayed in active CIA service inside the Soviet Eastern Europe Division until 1994, 9 years after he had been recruited by the KGB and at a point when his operational judgment had measurably deteriorated. Larry Wu-Tai Chin, the CIA contract translator, whose case is documented in the FBI's published case summary, was active inside the agency for nearly 3 decades after his initial recruitment by Chinese intelligence, long past the point where any cleaner exit would have been operationally available to him. Staying too long inside the active caseload is not just a personal cost, it is, historically, one of the highest correlation predictors of operational exposure. What if there is no advisory work available to me on the way out? You acknowledge this is possible. You also acknowledge that staying inside the active caseload forever, just in case the advisory market does not materialize, is a plan with its own significant risks, which were covered in reasons 1 through 4.
One more thing. The recommendation is not telling you to clear out your desk tomorrow and disappear. The recommendation is that the plan most operatives in your cohort are running, just keep working, the institution will tell me when to stop, is a plan. Nobody is arguing it is unsound. The recommendation is that it might not be the plan you think it is. The institution does not always tell you when to stop. The institution sometimes makes the decision for you in ways that retroactively turn out to have been visible months in advance. The most operationally satisfying exits, the ones that show up in the institutional history as clean handoffs and durable contributions, almost always involve the officer choosing the moment rather than being chosen by it. Vasily Mitrokhin chose the moment in 1992 with the full archive ready. Operatives who choose the moment leave with something behind them. Operatives who do not leave with the institutional machine still running for several more years. Walking away is a plan, too. Run the math.